If this camera dies or overheats one more time, I'm just playing. Let's have a taste, make sure it's all good, and then we're gonna head to the couch and hop into our girls chat. So let's get it popping. It's actually really good. It's like very lightly sweet and very like just fresh. It kind of gives like lime, just a fresh lime with like a splash of strawberry. I actually really like this. I would drink it. Okay, I did my thing. So let's go to the couch and let's get this girl chat popping. Testing. Welcome to my humble abode. Just kidding. I'm in my living room and let's take a sip of our marg. Cheers to being a phenomenal woman. I love women. I love getting advice from women. I love, you know, just being in collaboration with other women because I think we're extremely powerful. We're really smart. And I think that we all have a lot to learn and share from each other. So let's get into these questions. They're kind of juicy. I'm kind of excited, but I do think this will give you guys a better insight into me. And if I just kind of go off on little tangents, I'm probably just thinking of ways to better explain some of the questions that are being asked or things that may just come to mind. So let's just go with the flow because that's what I'm all about. All right, question one that the girlies want to know. So who did you go to for your breast augmentation? I have a video on this, but I definitely went to the #1 rated doctor in the country. His name is Dr. William Adams, and he is in Dallas. I got a 24-hour breast augmentation, which is like a 24-hour recovery thing. And if you're interested in learning more about that, feel free to definitely hop into my feel free to hop on to my other videos in the past because I definitely talked about that, you know. And you can see like the whole procedure, what it went like, what my recovery was like. And then I did it at 6 months, so you guys could get a kind of like a vibe of what it was like 6 months. Right now, I am 1 year and 2 months post-op. So this is what it's giving. I love them, and it was great. Mental health, please. You are such a boss. Okay, so when it comes to mental health, I take that really serious. You guys know I'm all about like meditation, peace of mind, being sound, but something that I really think that I value about mental health is being able to explore and identify like who I am as an individual, growing into different parts of myself, learning more about myself. It's crazy because I'm 28 now, and prior to this, I always thought that I knew so much about myself before I really started on my spirituality journey, which I've told and shared with you all, but I would just say there's definitely just a lot of things that I've grown to learn about myself as a woman and as an individual, and I think that mental health is really important, mostly finding balance. If you are somebody who has a lot of work, has a lot of personal activities, it got to a point for me where I just desired peace and I desired balance, and that really drove me to really focus on my mental health. I have been to therapy for like 3 months one time. I used the app BetterHelp to go to therapy, and I thought it was really effective. I liked my therapist, but I feel like once I gained what I went to therapy for, I was kind of like, okay, I think I'm a very self-aware person, and I feel like I journal, I like do a lot of shadow work, and I feel like the therapy kind of like made me realize what I was going through, what I specifically went for. But outside of that, I don't feel like it's something I personally needed. But if you are into that, I definitely recommend that, you know, you just give it a try. Like, that's one thing I would say is like, I'm never afraid to try something. Like, I'm not like, oh, I'm crazy, I'm going to therapy, or oh, I'm just this or I'm that, you know. It was just kind of always like, I'm just in a space where I just feel like I really want to be the best self, be my best self. And because of that, I feel like that's why I would say I prioritize mental health. Okay, so why is unlimited PTO a red flag in companies? I don't necessarily think that PTO is a bad thing, unlimited PTO. I think it gives you the flexibility to really take off without any boundaries. And personally, my old company had unlimited PTO, and I worked so much better because I felt like no pressure. Like, I need a day to myself today, I got it. You know what I mean? So I really enjoy unlimited PTO. I will say, maybe by red flag, you may mean that you may work more, so they're giving you PTO. In my last position, I felt like my work-life balance was great regardless of the unlimited PTO, but at Microsoft, there is definitely a more aggressive work culture here. So I would say that I would value it more here because there's actually a lot more work to do. Would I date someone with kids? Why or why not? I personally would date someone with a kid. I wouldn't say kids in plural, because I feel like I also want to like be able to experience that with my person. Like I want to be able to have a kid with them and have an experience. And I feel like sometimes when some people have done things, they may not be as inclined to do it again and again and again. You know, some people do love kids, but personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. I've only dated one person in my life with a kid, but I think it's more so like how the person shows up as a father, how they balance the relationship, and how they prioritize me in the middle of all that. It's like kind of like how I'd make the decision, but I wouldn't say I'm opposed to it. Learning to focus. I feel like meditation really helped me focus more, y'all, because you have to get your brain to a point where it needs to focus naturally. And I feel like, yeah, all it is about focusing your mind onto either like breathing in a certain place or focusing your attention on a certain thing, or like manifesting, or, you know, even if you're more religious, like let's say I read the Bible, it takes focus for me to really pay attention to what I'm trying to do, cultivate a space of peace, bring my mind to a still space. That really takes focus. And I feel like once I've gotten control of my mind, it's a lot easier to apply that methodology to whatever else that I'm trying to accomplish in my life. And I feel like, yeah, like I just feel like that's really helped me focus personally. I also take these focus pills. Hold on, let me run and get them so I can show you. Focus on things. I take these things called True Focus. Let me get them in the camera. And I will try to put this in the link below. I get these on Amazon. Amazing. I was looking for natural ways to focus. Just a little thing about me, I don't drink coffee. I don't really drink Red Bulls. Like, I don't do any of that stuff. Like, I just have to wake up and get to it. So yeah, I feel like with me in particular, I definitely am all about trying to utilize stuff like that to focus. And I wanted to look for natural ways more than like coffee, Adderall, things that are just unnatural a little bit. Not saying coffee isn't natural because it's mean, but you get what I'm saying. That to me is a bit addictive, and I just really don't. I've never really had a push to like, I don't like the way coffee tastes personally. So I've had to like explore other alternatives. I've been seeing a lot of companies also pushing like extremely small micro doses as great clarity for focus. A lot of people who have ADHD have been tapping into that, so it's something I definitely want to look into. I just haven't done enough research to be able to tell you guys about it. What made me decide to study tech? So it's actually a funny story. Like I always tell everyone, like I was always on a desktop. I think my parents got me a desktop in my room when I was like, had to be like 10 or under. Like that's how long I've been like actively on a computer every day of my life. So for me, I feel like it was a natural shift. My high school that I went to, we had to have laptops. Personally, your parents had to buy you a laptop. You had to come to school every day utilizing a laptop. So I was always involved in technology is what I would say. And I always tell the story that like I used to code MySpace layouts. Like I was just kind of that kid that was always on the computer. What I will say is, how did I decide to, that's how I decided to study tech, but how I decided to get a job in tech and decide to go to college for it at the point that I was conscious and old enough to like understand, okay, do I want to do this, was I simply just Googled what would be the highest paying job in 2016 when I was graduating, and it was like tech, and I was like, well, there we go. Literally, like I was just straight up like, where the bread at? Where is it? Because that's where I would never forget this, y'all. I went to my college advisor, and they were like, you know, you should just choose what you love, and da da da. And I was like, yo, where are the majors that I can get a bankroll from after this? Like, cause I'm just trying to see something. And after that, I just went home. I planned how to graduate college within 3 years, like on my own. I spent like 1 whole year taking online courses while I lived on campus. So I was traveling I had little boot things. I was moving around. I was doing me, and I was in class 1 day a week. I just always have found ways to make things work for me, is what I would say. But I will say there was a point, so a lot of people don't know this, but my first internship was in Los Angeles, and it was with a company called All Def Digital, and I know someone named Steve Rifkin. So Steve told me to come work in LA, and him and Russell Simmons had started this company back in the day, and they had a third investor as well. They all went their separate ways like after the first 2 years, but the first year was really cool because I'll never forget leaving LA my first summer. I met so many dope people. I was out there doing A&R for them, and went to so many events, and I was very torn when I was going to college between communications and technology. And I went to LA that first summer. I interned with them. I lived out there, and I was like leaving, and I'll never forget Russell and Steve were like, college is not for somebody like you. Like you're not built for that. Like you're a hustler. Like you are, like just true to me, like everything I like to do. And I still battle with this. A lot of people don't know this, but I still battle all the time with being a full-time entrepreneur and just staying in corporate. It's a very big thing because I am so self-driven. My work ethic is nuts. Like I know I can make money. I just haven't taken that leap of faith, and we can get into that in a whole nother video. But I do still like have tons of side hustles, and I would love for one day maybe to not have side hustles and just have a full-on tech business or tech company or just something else. But I'm still in the stages with like figuring all that stuff out. But I would say what was ironic about that is when I got back to school that fall, my sophomore fall, Florida State had came up with a degree called Information Communication Technology, and I didn't have to choose between communication or IT. It was like created that summer. So that ended up being my major. So that's what I ended up studying, and that's how I got into it in school. Okay, negotiating salary, how to make sure you're getting your full OTE. So negotiating salary and getting your full OTE are two completely different points. So let's start with negotiating your salary. Negotiating your salary comes with one, knowledge of the marketplace, understanding what is the average out here. And there's things like Glassdoor. There's all these different websites. I think one of them is called Blind that a lot of people have been on lately. I got to double check for y'all. But basically always remaining in a space where you understand, am I in the best predicament for myself and for my finances? You may love your job, but that doesn't mean you're getting the best compensation. And it doesn't mean you have to leave the job you're at. It just means that if you are a high performer or overachiever in the current role that you have, and you can do a market analysis and say, okay, well, the average person in this role is getting paid maybe $10,000 more than me, $15,000 more than me. Maybe I need to say something at work because I may not be aware that they do have a budget that can cover this. But jobs are typically not just going to come to you like, hey, yeah, you could get a promotion, but they're not going to give you the most unless you negotiate it. So I think that's great. One thing I will say is if you're interested in technology, an area that I think everybody should really focus on negotiating in is equity in companies. That is something I played myself with going to certain companies. Like, for example, my first contract with IBM, I did not negotiate any equity. And looking back 5 to 6 years ago, what that money would have turned into right now, I could have been sitting on $200,000-$300,000 in stocks extra. You know what I mean? Just off negotiating properly. And don't be shy with negotiating, and don't be scared. Like, if you know you have value to contribute, I think you should. I negotiated really, really well my package with Microsoft, and I was really proud of myself because I tell people all the time, like, negotiate, but actually sending something back and having them come back and you see that they actually gave you more, you feel good because it's like, damn, I would have just settled and I wouldn't have even known. Another great negotiation tip that I have for people is if I wanted to basically get paid $110,000, you should go into any negotiation, always set the price or ask for way more than that, because then you'll typically get what you want. Perfect example. If I wanted something from someone and I knew I was going to do a deal or some type of offer for somebody and I was like, okay, I want to make $10,000 off this deal, I would go into the situation like, okay, can you provide me with $20,000? Because then they may come back like, well, I can only do 12. And now you've kind of went above where you want, So that's a good example of a negotiation tactic that I would recommend personally. When it comes to getting your full OTE, you have to be really aggressive. And OTE, for those who don't know, I'm in sales, tech sales, and your OTE is your on target earnings. You can learn more about this in other videos that I have, like my how to make $250,000 in tech sales video. But more particularly, if you already know what it is, you're just looking to basically hit your targets or your numbers. So one, identifying a clear plan and strategy for your territory, your accounts, how to get there will be really cool. And then understanding how you can make that money. So what are the deal sizes? How many of those deals I need to close? Create a strategy on how to sell, how you want to prospect into your accounts. And that's really what works for me, is creating a plan. Can we know your fitness journey? You look amazing. Guys, I look amazing. Well, for those of you who may not know, I actually ran track for my whole life up until I was like 18 or 19. I think for like 8 or 9 years, I would work out like almost, I would say 4 hours a day, like 2 hours before school, 2 hours before. And this is the slimmest I've ever been. Like I used to be stupid thick. Yes, I will insert a picture. About 160, dumb thick. Okay. Listen, all the boys were trying to hold my blocks. I would be like this. Like, yeah, I'll be like this. In my blocks, they were trying to hold the blocks because they knew Kayla had the yams, okay? And now, I mean, I don't want you guys to think I'm like body shaming myself or anything, but I'm about 5'9" and about 145 pounds. So I used to be about 15 pounds heavier when I was an athlete, but I was an athlete genetics play a big part into it. Yeah, I can eat anything I want, so please don't compare your ass off to me because my metabolism is like a dream gift. Like I can eat a million things and it goes nowhere. Like I literally don't think I will gain weight till I have a baby, and even then it's skeptical because my mom was a size 0 when she got pregnant with me, and she was a size 4 after pregnancy. And my mom to this day is still like a size 6 to 8. And I'm a 4 now. So I feel like it'll be like, I'm a 4, I'll probably be like a 4'6" when I get pregnant. So going off my mom, if I got pregnant and had a baby, I'd probably be like a 10, you know, something like that. So still not really too big. Like, you know, like I just don't think I'll get that big. Nobody in my family's fat at all. Like nobody. So yeah, I just think that I have good genetics, and I'm not like the biggest like eater. Like I don't just eat terribly. I eat what I want, but I don't eat tremendous amounts. So I'm also like, I might eat like one Chipotle bowl for a whole day and like a breakfast and a snack or something like that, you know? So I just think that my genetics, the fact that I'm athletic, I work out on top of it. My genetics are crazy. Like my dad, my brother's 6'8". We're all just kind of like athletically built. And then, yeah, like I said, on my mom's side, they're like, she was a toothpick. So it's just genetically, I think that's what it is personally. I like that. How do you balance a career on social media? So with me, I have to schedule a lot, and I have to have really great time management. So it's Sunday, I want to go get drinks. So instead I'm like, let me have a drink and record, because right now I'm really focused on like building my content, building my platforms, being able to scale and reach more people, because I'm really passionate about this tech stuff. I'm really passionate about getting people set up for their careers, their dreams, whatever it may be. Even if I don't stay in tech, even if I go full-time entrepreneur, I would want to help people do that. So really it's about me connecting with people, building these like great relationships online, having a platform to really educate and teach people. I feel like I resonate really well with helping people be motivated, teaching them, speaking to them, just naturally in life. So that is what I feel like I'm called to do, and that's why I'm really putting the effort into doing all this right now. But I would just say that time management, making decisions, making sacrifices. Like, can I always go out? Do I have to spend my weekends doing this late nights because I know I have work during the day? If I have a free hour during work, am I trying to use it for lunch? Or am I trying to like, boom, post a reel real quick? Like, it's always just this decision of like, what do you want? And how dedicated are you and consistent do you want to be? And then second, when are you going to find the time to do it? So put together a plan, write it down, get up early in the morning. If I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't go back to sleep, I grab that laptop and I start working, I start editing. I just do whatever. And I think right now my brand is expanding really rapidly, which is just like amazing. But the amount of like brands starting to reach out to me at one time, podcasts that I'm being invited to right now, I will say it's like, ooh, it's starting to get like, you know, very exciting, but at the same time, I'm really realizing, I woke up this morning and I was like, you have to go get some type of content planner now outside of your regular planner, because now you're gonna have all these due dates for things that are due, content coming out. So exciting times. Thanks for supporting me, guys. But I will say it is getting a little more aggressive with the content stuff now that I feel like my YouTube is growing so rapidly, and yeah, like just all the things that I'm putting out are opening doors for new opportunities for me to go speak and engage more. So it's exciting. This is what I've always wanted. So now it's just about rebalancing, and every few months or every few weeks, you know, do that check. Like I kind of do a daily to do. Like I need to like revamp all the time. Like things come up, but I mean, it's as simple as like I got a dinner planned on Wednesday night, like from last week. Like it's 1 to 2 weeks out. Everything, link ups, hanging with friends. All that stuff is just not on the fly anymore. It's definitely like very much planned and scheduled in. Let's see. Talk about dating men that make less than you. Y'all, let me just get into this. So I feel like where I'm at and where I've always been in my life, I've never really been one to condone women dating men who just make significantly less than them, unless you and this person had some type of bond, y'all came up together. But at the point where I am currently in my life with my finances, and I feel like the investments I have set up for my future, just where I am mentally, like if I can't even have a certain level of conversation with you and you're not already there, I look at this as like my trajectory is like, I don't know, straight up, I'm just put it out there. I am looking to like build an empire with my man. Like I want to take over the world, make $1 billion with him. Like that's the vibe I'm on. So like, me really dating somebody with less than me has just never worked out. One, I feel like when I tell men like that my dreams, they're like insecure. They don't really like, they don't know how to support my dreams and my visions. And when I say support, I just mean showing up for me in any ways. Like for example, the guy that I was dating last summer, I'll never forget. I was like, have you ever watched one of my YouTube videos? And he was like, hell no. Whereas like the guy that I date now, like completely supports like my vision and will ask questions like, how can I support you? How can I help whatever your dreams are? How can I help you build that? And I have that same relationship with him. Like I want to actively always know like, what can I contribute? How can I show up to this relationship and add value? So I do feel like for me, it hasn't worked because of a mindset thing. And it's like, if I'm trying to make $100,000, $100 million, you know, why would I be with somebody who's not really actively looking to build into those types of things? Like I like hustlers personally. I don't even like men who really work in corporate as much as I work in corporate. Like I like hustlers. Like I like men who are investors, businessmen, finance, like whatever you could do that shows me you know how to like accelerate and build something from zero to this, or go get some money on your own and put systems and processes together. That's what excites me personally. I feel like I'm not like most people in corporate. Like I like seek to like really make lots and lots of money, and I feel like that's just who I am, and the energy got to align. And I've always gotten into the situations where these men are very insecure based on things. You know how they always say that quote, like you can't tell everybody certain things because sometimes your dreams may just be too big, or like, yeah. And I feel like I've also gotten used in those situations where like men with more money, I just don't feel that. Like, and personally, I've only really been in this situation 2 times and it went bad for me. Other than that, I've always dated men. From the time I was about 19 years old, I've been dating men who make significantly way more than me. So that's just my personal opinion on that. And I just haven't had the best experiences with it. Men typically are extremely insecure with like, you gotta think, like I bought my first house at 24. Like most guys don't even have a house then. Like guys was just on some, you know, I just didn't feel like it worked out, put it that way. And yeah, like I said, but it's not a financial thing for me. It's more of a mental thing. Like what it takes to really become a multimillionaire is a characteristic thing, a hustle thing, a mentality thing. And when I'm like that every day and I want to feel that and thrive off that energy, I just need that in my life. So I'm really happy. Like right now in my life, I feel like I have a super extremely supportive partner, and they've been super supportive from the jump. Like anything I've ever done, they've supported me, and I really, really appreciate, and I love that. Thanks, boo. Anyways, let's see. Feminine hygiene, self-care, pampering, maintenance kind of thing. Okay, so when it comes to feminine hygiene, I would say that I've really tapped into, I've always been very clean as a hygienic type of person, but when it comes to my femininity and as being a woman, I was always an athlete. Like I was always the tomboy ass girl. So it definitely took a lot of work for me to step into a very much feminine role, especially with me being in a male dominated industry, constantly around male energy, having to exude that. I think for me, it took tapping into myself. I would say Brie was a really big influence in me when it came to my femininity because I just didn't care about certain things at all. Like, I'll wear sweats, and Brie, I noticed she would wear something like a lounge set, like something that complements your figure more as a woman, like just simple things, and it wasn't a lot. But I think that one thing we always talk about is like I feel like she's learned a lot of business stuff from me, and I've learned a lot of just feminine girly things from her because I've never really been girly. I don't even like the color pink. I've always hung out with my homeboys. Like I've never been like the girly girl, if that makes sense. Like I would look at cheerleaders crazy. Like that is too girly. So I've always been like the super tomboy ass girl, and always had like boyfriends who like those types of girls who was like chill, we kicking it, like we the homies. So I would say like after 25 is when I really started to tap into my feminine energy and more like submissive type of energy. And I would say also, depending on the type of man that you date, that can really bring out your feminine energy because, you know, like, I don't know, like they just have a way of like kind of helping you tap into that more. If it's a real man, a real alpha coming in and stepping into your life, they just kind of elevate that energy in you. And that's just how I feel. So finances and budget tools you use. So with me, I have a financial planner, and just at a high level, I have a ton of stocks and investments. I have a VUL. I have a life insurance policies. I have cash flows that are just sitting for liquid cash. That's where I was able to access all that stuff that went left when I talked about those trials and tribulations in my other video. Just having money on hand in a liquid situation, having stocks and bonds. Now that I'm at Microsoft, I'm about to start getting a lot of equity at Microsoft, and I can also do like employee stock purchases. So on top of that, I just have multiple streams of income. So for me, I've always felt like one quote that I've lived by is most millionaires have 7 streams of income. So I've always tried to strive to diversify my income. And if I'm being transparent, I probably make money every single day in some way, whether it's coming in from social media or my job. And maybe not every day, but at least 4 days a week. Some type of money is hitting my account. Like I'm constantly putting myself in position to, you know, have income. But then I'm also in a 401k and all these things like, you know, where I have long-term investments. And then I feel like my life insurance policies are midterm investments. So those were things that I wanted to discuss with my financial planner, and we executed on them. Like I don't want to wait till 70 for all my money, 65. So what is a midway? Like when I'm 40, what can I access? Because I want to know like if I'm at the point where I want liquid investments, want to just go buy houses, properties, I have this money to where I have vehicles, especially with the amount I make and how I'm taxed. I have to have a financial planner. Having an LLC helps me reduce my yearly income. I have commissions. We're taxed at almost 40%. So really being able to reallocate my money, have expenses and losses, make it all work out so that in the end, I'm not paying such a high tax rate is what I would say really works for me. So budgeting, I like to save quarterly, personally, huge lump sums of money. And I personally like every 2 weeks to just have my checks to myself. So that's my strategy. My mom doesn't agree with it. I really think that works for me because of the type of job I have. If I was to switch jobs and not be in sales and I have high commission checks, like thousands and thousands of dollars in lump sums coming in at a time, then obviously, you know, I would have to revamp. So I think doing what's best for you, but number one thing I would advise is go get you a financial planner that can help you assess your finances and then better allocate a budget. How to refocus on God. So I don't know, like for me, what I would say is God's grace has just been very, very much. I was always in and out. Like I said, I've never really been one to have a parent or structure where I had to go to church or learn certain things. This is all just things that I've had to do research because I'm a curious person. I love history. I kind of treat the Bible like history. Like, I'm like, well, where is this sourced from? Like, I just found out, I literally have a book upstairs of all the hidden parts of the Bible that I didn't even know existed. Like, there's a whole nother part. Even understanding things like Christians versus Christianity, there's all these denominations. So what makes somebody Anglican? What makes somebody Baptist? What makes somebody Protestant? Like, understanding the beef between the Protestant and the Christian church. Like, I look at religion like history. Like, I am a history junkie. Like, I watch history. I love old types of shows, the History Channel. Like, I always been into that type of stuff. So, for me, it's like this beautiful story of God. One, just from a history perspective, one. But then two, looking at it from a more experienced perspective, I've just had really revelating experiences with God where he's revealed himself to me. He shows up in beautiful ways in my life. I've never wanted for anything. Everything I've ever prayed for, I've gotten in my life. So for me, that is enough for me to have a certain level of faith with God. And I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect, but there are things that I'm working on that I feel like God is calling me out of right now. And they're a struggle. It's like all of us, you know? So it's just trusting yourself, having faith, trusting God, reading the word, and really what resonates for you. I think one thing about it is everybody tries to figure out what works for them and this, and look at my advice. I didn't really seek others for this. I came within, and from within, I was able to connect above. And I think that would be my advice, you know? If this camera dies or overheats one more time, I'm just playing. Okay, so, okay. Relocate into a new state by yourself. I did that after college. I lived in Arkansas, which is something most people don't know about me, but I moved to Arkansas, and I got a job with Tyson Foods fresh out of college. It was on something like, I already had the job before I graduated. I was like, I'm taking this. It's a lot of bread. At the time, I thought it was $60,000, but I mean, for an entry-level job, like coming out of school, most people are making like 60 to 80,000. So it was kind of like, I'll take the 60, go move somewhere where the rent gonna be $600, $500, $600. Me and so I will say I didn't move completely by myself. One of my best friends, his name is Ryan. We moved together. We got a townhouse together. But Ryan had a really depressing year, so it felt like I was by myself because he was going through so much on a personal level. Like, he would come home after work and lock himself in the room. So I got out there and I was just kind of like, damn, I'm really by myself in the middle of nowhere. But knowing me, I'm a really social person. I ended up making friends. I have a lifetime friend. Her name's Alexis. That's whose baby y'all seen in my other vlogs when I'm like first time holding a baby. She's like one of my closest friends. And we met out there. I met another girl at the time. We're not really that close anymore, but I just made friends. I would go to Dallas. I'm just somebody who, like, I ain't gonna let nothing stop me, okay? If I move somewhere, I'm like, I'm cool. What's up? I'm gonna meet some people. I'm a social person. So I would say it may be a personality thing and a comfort thing. I had already also traveled. Like, when I was young, my parents would send me, like, I was like younger, they sent me to like Paris, Spain, London. So like, I was used to kind of moving on my own, and I'm an only child. So I think my level of being alone and comfortability with it is very different than a lot of people that I've met and experienced in my lifetime, because I've always been alone, to be completely honest. Like, I have half siblings, but as in like my day-to-day growing up, I was always alone, and I always did everything by myself, always had my own car, my own job, my own. So being in that situation, I would say definitely had prepared me to make a move, and I was just ready to make money. And I think that's the thing. I wasn't really focused on the move. I was focused on the goal. And my goal was to stack bread, get to Atlanta, and put myself in a predicament to go to a really great company to get the exposure to go to, wherever I needed to go in the future. And it all worked out. So I saved so much money that year. Like, it was crazy because I lived in a place where there was nothing really going on. Now, you may not be in that same predicament. You may just want to move to a city like Atlanta, like Miami, wherever, but you're like nervous. And all I can say is you got to have faith. Something I live by is if you don't believe in yourself, why would anybody else believe in you, boo? And you should definitely take that advice. Whenever you're feeling a little down or unsure of yourself, speak life into yourself. Make sure that you know that you can do it, because nothing can stop you. And if you have faith in what God is able to do for you, really, we should have no fears. And that's something I'm working on as I want to expand into completely new levels of my life. I'm like, low key, you got fears about this because you're so comfortable where you are. So I think that it's just a reminder for all of us to trust ourselves, be in tune with ourselves, and just really like trust yourself. Like I said, my favorite quote I've ever heard, and I live by it. Anybody asks me, what's your favorite quote? I say, if you don't believe in yourself, why would anybody else believe in yourself? Take that leap of faith, but also be logical, be strategic, make sure your finances are in order, make sure you have a plan, a strategy when you get to this place. What's the point of going there? Make sure you got all that figured out. And then the rest, I feel like, is on you to execute and take it into your own hands. But as long as you do those things, it's just honestly to me about having faith, about believing in yourself. How to deal with friendship breakups. This is something I want to talk about because something I feel like people and my friends have told me is that when I outgrow things or situations, it's very easy for me to detach. And I will say that I have had friends, most of my friends around me, with the exception of like Bree, literally, and AJ, I would say, I've been friends with all of my friends outside of the two of them for literally 5 to 15 years outside of that, which I think I have a pretty strong track record when it comes to keeping friends. What I will say is I've had friend breakups, and they're really hard because sometimes you're close to people, really close to people, but you're growing in separate directions. And what I gotta say is go with your intuition and go with what you feel. All of the people that I've seemed to grown apart from or detached from in my personal life, maybe with the exception of one person that I can think of in mind where I would be open to reconnecting and open that friendship up, I'm comfortable with the decision that I made. There was something going on in the friendship that no longer served me. We maybe don't align anymore. And a lot of people may think, well, this is my friend, I grew up with them and we don't align, but everybody can't go everywhere with you. And that's just something I believe, like depending on where you are called to go and the things that you are doing, if people put you in predicaments that may hinder that, jeopardize that, I cut it off immediately. Like, I don't care. And I don't go about it in a nasty way. I've never like just fell out with people because we're fighting or things like that. It just naturally seems to happen that we grow apart and separate. And me personally, I don't got no beef with nobody. I don't care. Like, I just stopped caring. Like, I'm like, I care about your well-being as a person and I wish you the best, but I care about what I want out of life more, what predicaments I'm in, where I'm headed in my life. And I'm so like tunnel focused. And I'm one of those people where like, if I feel like anything or anyone is getting in the way of something I'm trying to accomplish, they gotta go. Period. Men, friendships, relationships. Like, I've been at a point, y'all, where I've fallen in love with a guy and told him, like, this is not what I need right now. I'm really focused on my bread. I can't be in love with you. Like, we gotta go our separate ways. Like, I am super crazy about, like, anything infiltrating what I want and what I want to accomplish and what I feel like is out here for me. Because I feel like when I get there, what I want will align with who I need to be around me, what I need. And when I tell you guys, God has blessed me with a friend circle that I truly admire, I truly value, and I have so much respect for the women that are around me in my life because I prayed and I feel like I also manifested what I needed around me. I never said I need this type of person, but when I said, God, I want to do this in my life and I want to do that, reveal to me what needs to go or what's not working. If I'm praying like that and things start to get revealed to me, you got to go. I'm going to be honest. So that's just how I treat that. And I may be better at it than most people, but I also just don't really have attachments to that. Like, I just feel like some people are a lesson, some people are a lifetime. And I enjoy the journey and I just keep it moving, honestly. Have you always had a boss mentality? How did you get there? Y'all, I would not make this up. My Instagram name from the time that I was 15 years old was Boss Bell. And I only took it away. Everybody was like, why did you change your name from Boss Bell? And it was just as simple as like, I felt like I was a pretty boss. I've been working from the day I could work. The day. I went to the mall when I never forget this. I went to the mall to get me a job. Like, my birthday is coming up. I need a job. I just always had a sense of independence. And I think, like I said, it circles back to, as I've gotten older and done a lot of self-evaluation, I really think it circles back to me being an only child. I played a sport. The sport I chose was an individual sport. Like, it was a team thing. But track is like, are you accountable for your decisions? If you don't train hard, your ass don't get beat. It's just that simple. Like, line it up and let's see who's the best. And I think that's just always been something within me. I don't think it's something I curated. I swear no lie, y'all, I found a journal of me writing when I was about 9 years old, around 8 or 9 years old. I can't remember. So let's say between 8 and 10 years old. My mom dropped off a photo book and a journal she had found in my bedroom. And I went through the journal and I was reading it, and I was like literally between 8 to 10 years old, like I said, and I was speaking life in this journal. Like, I am gonna, here are the prices for the business I'm gonna have. It was mind blowing for me to look back at that journal. It was like a full circle moment. Like, girl, this been in you your whole life. You are a hustler. Like, you enjoy the art of bringing things to life, making money, and fulfilling whatever your dreams are and putting that into reality. And I think I'm also an executor, and that's one thing I would say. It's cool to dream things, but one thing that I've gotten advice on from management, from friends, they're like, Kayla, when you set your mind to something, your execution is crazy. Like, you don't let up. And I think that's just how I am, and I think that's something I would advise people to do. When you set your mind on something, get aggressive with it, get active with it. Like, put that in motion, put it down, talk to yourself. I talk to myself. People might think I'm crazy. I be like, girl, I look myself in the mirror like, girl, you really need to stop playing. You need to run this money up. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I speak life into other people around me as well. Like, so I just feel like it's a thing where you have to motivate yourself, and motivating yourself takes practice. It takes really informing yourself over and over again. I can do this. I can do this. I'm really doing it. Nothing's going to stop me. When I did my hookah business, nobody knows this. I was working my full-time job, and I was contracted to Harrell's. I was working 20 something hours in 2 days on the weekend, coming home 4 or 5 in the morning. I'd have tears in my eyes driving home, and I'm like, this is your moment. You're gonna run up your bag. This is your business. Nothing can stop you. You're invincible. You're gonna get through this. Don't matter if your feet hurt, don't matter if your back hurt. This is yours. This is yours to own it. And I made so much money. I literally wish I could get back to that space. It was too aggressive, if I'm being honest. That's unbalanced when I'm just at a point of full on. But even knowing I had the potential to take it there, I'm like, if I could apply that energy into something I really want to do. Hookah was a fun thing that just exploded for me. I was never expecting it to do what it did. My hookah business, Sky High Club, I really had to stop because it was so demanding. The last event, like, I was just like, yo, I'm drained. Like, we made a ton of money. It was a cool thing. I literally got a text this week like, yo, are you still working? Can we get you tomorrow night? And that's the thing. You know, it was just like a great season for me. But what I will say is I am aggressive. I'm aggressive. Like, I don't play games when it comes to it, y'all. And I give that advice to everybody. Stop playing with yourself. Stop playing with yourself, sis. Stop playing with yourself, sis. Cheers to that. Because somebody needed to hear that. Stop playing with yourself. Go get that money. Go get that dream life. Go get whatever it is that you want, because it's available. And if you manifest it, and if you believe it, that's the thing. The key to manifesting is believing it's yours. If you believe it's yours, where do I see myself in 5 years? Married, children, another home. Love your videos. Thank you, babe. So where do I see myself in 5 years? I see myself being a multimillionaire, honestly. I don't know if I'll still be in corporate, because I always say, like, by 30, I want to be a multimillionaire. So I'll be honest, like, the next 18 months of my life, I've been getting super aggressive with really getting to my goals. My first goal is to be making $40,000 a month. Honestly, the past year, I've been able to tip the $20,000 scale a month repeatedly, and I'm really trying to break out of that now and get to the 40. I feel like that is going to happen for me in the next year. Like, I'm just claiming that. I feel like it's going to happen for me in the next year. So that'll be around more $500,000. And then I'm like, if I can scale it from $500,000 to $1 million and figure out how to refine my processes and get there by 30, I'm 28, just turned 28 3 weeks ago. I got 2 years. I feel like that's really my 2-year plan. And in 5 years, I would say I would like to be with my partner and we're building wealth. We are building generational, like, legacy. Like, that is my dream, y'all. Like, to be like one of those superpower couples. Like, and that's why I feel like it has been a struggle for me dating, because most men just don't tip the scale. Like, they not trying to do all that. They want to put you up, or it's like one extreme or the next. Like, they just want to put me up, or they can't handle it. They're insecure. And it's like, I feel like it has been really hard for me to meet somebody who understands, like, me, how I am as a hustler and how I want to integrate that into my relationship. Like, I want me and my man to be doing business together. I want us to be like on some Bonnie and Clyde, like getting up. Like, we on some crazy, not Bonnie and Clyde, like stealing type rides, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah, so I would say that's where I see myself in 5 years. Like, multi-millionaire, own business, running it, is doing millions. My man's doing numbers. We building our own thing together, or we taking the money, investing it in real estate, investing it into whatever, building more and more wealth. And at that point, I'm like not one of the girls that's like super pressed to be like, I want to bring in kids real fast. Like, I really want to run my bag up. I want to be filthy rich before I even pop a kid out, because I want chefs, I want nannies, I want car services. Like, I don't want no stress when I have kids, and that's just my transparency. Everybody is entitled to do it how they want to do it, but I would just say I'm not in a rush. I have told myself over and over again, I do not want a child unless I'm making $40,000 or more a month, because whether that child's father stays in my life or not, my lifestyle wouldn't change. I'll have the access and the resources to provide my kid with a lifestyle that is pretty similar to mine. And one of the next questions was like, what did it say? It was like, tell us about your upbringing. Yeah, your upbringing, where you see yourself in 5 years, first 100,000 you made. So I feel like these kind of questions kind of intertwine because of the 5-year plan. So I was like, let me just follow into this. But my upbringing has a lot to do with this. So y'all, so I was pretty much born in New York. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. And I grew up with, in the beginning, I grew up with my mom and my real father. So we like all lived in Brooklyn, New York, and then we moved to Long Island, New York. So up until the age of 11, I was living in Long Island in New York, but my mom and real dad separated when I was about maybe 7 years old. My real dad has 8 other kids. So I have 8 half siblings, but my mom and my dad only had me. My mom met my stepdad, who is a doctor. They worked at the hospital together, and they ended up falling in love. We moved to Florida. So I moved to Florida when I was about 11 years old. And I would say it went from being just an inner city girl in Brooklyn to my stepfather being very, very financially stable, and us moving into a huge house. Like, I'll enter the house here because no one lives in it anymore. So you guys can see a huge house, like pools, almost 5,000 square foot house, cars on cars. I'm going to private schools. Like, I went to something called American Heritage if you're from South Florida. Then I ended up going to North Broward Prep. We're talking like $20,000, $30,000 high schools. So my life just transformed, and for me, I think that my upbringing plays a major part on how aggressive I am when it comes to like how much money I want to make. You know, I had probably been to like 12 countries by the time I was 18. Like I told you, my parents would fly me around, send me to the Caribbean for the summer, like by myself. You know, on the weekends, I'm like hopping on my friends' yachts to go to the Bahamas for the weekend. Like, I was going to school with kids pulling up in Maseratis, like in high school. Like, it just opened my experiences to where, you know, I just realized like, damn, I'm gonna have to work really hard if I want these things. And 2, I think what the major thing that clicked for me, being somebody who grew up in an inner city in Brooklyn, New York, and then got moved into like this like extravagant South Florida lifestyle, living in Boca, damn near. Like, I grew up in like the Boca Del Rey area, if you guys know where that is. I went to school in Boca, like the whole time I was there. Boca is just nothing but old wealth. So like, growing up around this, now I'm seeing, you know, different things. Like, my stepdad bought my first BMW for me. So even the pressure to even get my own car myself, like, was just a whole nother level of like, you already have nice things. You already grew up in a huge house. Like, you have to now take this to a whole new level. So my life was really just like, I would say I was pretty privileged growing up compared to most people, like more than privileged growing up. You know, like all the stuff people rave over, like Chanel's, Van Cleef's, like all my friends in high school had this stuff. Like, it was like nothing. Like, everybody's getting Chanel's bag for Christmas. Like, it was just nothing. I would say one thing I do value though is my parents, even though they had money, they made me work really hard for the things that I wanted. And I like that. I do not value materialistic things. I think a lot of people think I have way less than I have, and it's really funny, but I just don't value those things. Like, I'm like, I don't care to go pay for, you know, a Lululemon set when I can get this on Fashion Nova, and it has nothing to do with what's in my bank account. It's just my perception on mine and construct that, like, I just don't believe in these things. They come and go. I feel like I gain more and more of it. Let's see. How is dating when you're so successful? Are there a lot of men who you think are on your level? Are you intimidated by the fact that are men intimidated by the fact that you may make more than them and don't need them? How do you feel like dating is terrible in Atlanta? Okay, I got like 4 questions back to back. Literally, like I'm reading them back to back about the dating thing, Atlanta, and men. So let me give y'all my advice personally and what I think. I don't, and I have never focused on trying to find a man. Like, I've been the girl that men have been like, can you settle down? And I'm like, I'm outside, baby. Like, because for me, I just feel like my power, my possession, like I told you, as I even stepped more into my femininity as a woman, I just realized my power lays within me. Like, these men do not really have that much power. They're chasing you. Men are going to get money, to get cars, to get jets, to do all these things to essentially, yes, build themselves, but to what? Attract a mate. And what I've always felt like is I want to separate myself from the bunches. So what can I do to separate myself? I could be independent. I can have all my own stuff. I can build myself into a really boss, bad bitch. And whoever aligns with me at that point is who's meant to be with me. That's how I view dating. So I would say that, we all went out to the bar before and then tried to fish and try to, get you a man. That doesn't ever work for me. Like, I mean, every time that I'm just on the fly is when I feel like I've met somebody significant in my life versus when I went out and looked for it. So that's one thing I would say about my values, about how I choose to date. I believe as a woman also, accessibility is something that you need to be very keen about. Accessibility and reputation. I have never tried to do things that tarnish my reputation as a woman, and I feel like I've never really tried to do things that make me super accessible to men. I think the fact that I can't always jump for a man and I have so much going on with myself really helps me to differentiate the type of men that I need in my life. Like, either you're a supporter and an enabler to what I'm looking to do and what I'm trying to build, or you're a blocker. And it's very clear to me very early on. There's some guys who don't want a woman that works like me. Like, they don't want a woman that's a hustler like that. They want to put you up. They want all the control over you. And they want you to kind of like fall into whatever they want. They'll take care of you. And some women are okay with that. And I think that is some women, because some women are not built like me. They're not hustling. They're not out here getting to a bag. But personally, I like the dudes who are coming like, I want a girl getting some money. I want a girl about her business. And I'm trying to build and take it to the next level with you. Like, that's always been my thing. I would say, as it relates to like men being insecure, kind of like what I mentioned before, I don't really even go for those types of men no more. Like I told you, I had 2 one-off experiences where I've dated people who don't really make as much as me. So I feel like I really haven't run into this situation over and over again, other than like just 2 times in my life where I was significantly in a position where it was just completely different, where I outgrew the man and it just didn't work. But other than that, the types of men that are attracted to me understand what I'm coming with. They see what I have. They understand who I am as an individual, what my goals and dreams are, and they either get with it from the beginning or they don't, But right now, as it relates to dating, I'm really happy. Something that I truly, truly value now is friendship in a relationship. Like, if you can't be my best friend, we can't really be together. Like, I've always just sought people out and thought like, okay, this could be my boyfriend. But I think the fact that I was friends with the person that I'm dating for so long, I know them. They know me. We know each other really, really well. And like I said, I think timing is also a major construct. It just has to align and it has to work out. And I've been completely cool with things just not working out and letting it go. Like, I love dating. So like, I'm not one of the girls that's like, oh my God, I'm so heartbroken. I'm about to sit around for months and years and just never get back out there. Like, I'm kind of like, all right, it didn't work out. On to the next. Like, cool, like whatever. Overall, dating in Atlanta is fucking tragic. It is terrible. If you move into Atlanta, let me tell you something. As every girl got this dream. If you move into Atlanta to date, this is your sign to not do it. Girl, it is so bad out here. The ratio of women to men is already like 100 to 1. Then there's a huge gay population of men here. So like, let's just say 100 to 50. Because 50 of them don't even want you. Like, I'm talking about, I'm looking like a bad bitch. I'm in the elevator in Midtown. These fine men living in my building won't even look my way. Then 2 days later, you see them with their boyfriend in the elevator. So let's just get into that. Like, they're not interested in you. And then 2, and then 3, I feel like Atlanta has like a kind of like proto stereotype of like what the typical person that is looking to date. Like if you don't have a BBL, if you're not like super done up and live in the Atlanta culture, it'd probably be really difficult for you to meet a man here. And then second to or last to none, the money is funny out here in Atlanta. I'm just gonna be real. Like a lot of people are just acting up like they got this and this and that, but it's not like that. It's just not the reality down here. So I would say if you think you about to move down to Atlanta, meet your man and come up on something, girl, it's a very, very far off, unreal dream. If you want some fun in the nightclubs and, you know, always want a trick or somebody to do certain things for you in that light, go ahead. But if we're talking about settling down, kids, marriage, the whole nine, I do not recommend this place. You can Google it. It's all over the internet. This is probably the worst place you could live in the country today. And in 5 years, I have never met a man that I've dated in Atlanta. Anybody I've met is passing through, doesn't live here, or I just date long distance because it's ghetto. It's ghetto out here. Believe that. So yeah, so that covers all the dating. I think we're done with the dating, you know? How do you feel like yours and Bree's dynamic of friendship has changed your life? I think I touched on this a little bit. I think I really helped Bree to be a hustler and be more business minded, and just step into like more like that hustle in her, because I feel like that's her like area where I feel like I like drive and like pour into her. And I feel like I told y'all, she's helped me really with my femininity. Like I said, I've always been the tomboy, so being with a friend that is so girly like Bree has really helped me understand, okay girl, there's some shit you cannot get away with. Like you gotta step into your femininity a little bit more. And I think that has really help me just be a lot more feminine. So I think that's the balance of exchange that we bring to each other's lives. And we've just been through a lot of things together that most people just don't know about at the same exact time. And I think those experiences have truly brought us very close together, because we've really, really been through a lot of different things at the same exact time. It'd be so weird. Like we experience the same things in different ways at the same time. And one of the other questions I just saw in there is, how did you and Brie meet and become such good friends? So I feel like this kind of all ties in. I'm trying to like wrap the questions in together instead of like jumping around. But me and Brie met through Aaliyah. Brie was throwing a Halloween party one night, and they just invited me over there. And it's really funny because they we would all always try to hang out for a while, like me, Brie, Tasha, like Drew, all of us. And they would always be able to hang out. And the days that me and Brie were supposed to meet, we would never be able to I would never be able to attend when Brie was going. And I was just like, all right, whatever. Like I knew who she was, but I was never like, you know, super pressed to like just be like, oh, I need to meet her. So it just ended up happening. Now when we met, we like vibed, we started getting close, and then my birthday trip really brought us together. Some other stuff that happened really, really brought us together right after my birthday trip. And then from there, Bree had recently became single. I had became single, and all our other friends were in relationships. So I feel like because we were just single and outside, it naturally was just the progression of the friendship. And we were just like going through so much together outside, having fun, traveling the world. We had the freedom. So let's see what the last two questions are gonna be. Should women be career driven or focused on being a wife? I really think this is a question I want to talk to, because I personally feel like, I just told you guys, I think women should focus on themselves and the right man will come along. Like I don't think you should go out with the intention to just seek a man to be a wife, because I feel like we have so much more values to bring to the table than just being a woman in a man's life. And I feel like if you don't work on building that value, you kind of don't really have that to add. But I feel like also different strokes for different folks. Some women I feel like are nurturers. I feel like they're mothers, they're caregivers, they're healers. They may not be as business driven or career driven. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think it's about being in tune with who you are. But the only way to do that is to focus on yourself. So I think it just, the bottom line for me when it comes to this is you should focus on yourself. I personally have always been the career driven woman, and I have never wanted or lacked in a relationship sense. Like, so it wasn't something I had to focus on. But I know other women who really focus on being feminine energies and just really manifesting being a stay-at-home mom. And if that's what you want, you can have that as well. I feel like it solely depends on what you want. And you should just focus on yourself and not compare yourself to others and do what you want. I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want to stay at home for the first few years when I have a kid, and then I want to get back to it. So, you know, everybody has different things that they really want to achieve in life or have in life, and I feel like understanding the constructs of whatever that looks like for you will enable you to essentially have whatever it is that you want in this life. And the final question I wanted to talk about is, can you talk about getting your house as a Black woman? I find this question a little bit interesting because I feel like that already kind of puts a stigma on Black women not being able to get homes. And I feel like if I'm being completely transparent, if you know how to go save you some money and you got legit bank records, buying a home is finding a place you like and signing paperwork. There is nothing that difficult about it. Like, it's just a simple process that it can come with underwriting and stuff. So if you don't want to do paperwork, I mean, you're just being lazy in my opinion. But I think it's just one, understanding like, what do I need to save or allocate for a down payment? What is my budget of home I can afford? What areas do I need to look in? Two, am I buying or purchasing a place, a home in a place that's going to appreciate? Is this home going to grow in equity? Like, is it a good investment overall? Having the judgment to assess that. And three, simply just having the financial acumen put up in place to just go execute on some paperwork. When we say, oh, closing day, all you do is pull up to an office, y'all, and sign some papers, and they give you the key. There is no difference in me paying my rent versus my mortgage. There is a 30-year obligation. Obviously, that's a major difference. You know, I'm a homeowner. If things break, I don't have people or things in my home or apartment that just can come in and fix it. So having a budget allocated to understand you may need to pay a HOA, you may need to have money on hand to fix unforeseen things in your home, obviously is a major difference. But I think the benefit to being a homeowner is my mortgage is pretty much locked into a specific rate. Yes, it fluctuates by a few, you know, maybe $40, $30, $40 here and there, with depending on the tax appreciation on my home. But you know, as the rent is skyrocketing in Atlanta, I'm gaining equity in my home. So now I have more cash to put into investments, do different things if I wanted to pull that equity out. But I also have a locked in and set rate, which allows me to, if I wanted to, turn this into an investment property. Always know I can make a set profit off of it, live here, not pay what the rents are going crazy in as inflation is rising in the world. And I would also say my personal recommendation is right now is just a very high interest rate time. So I would not recommend, in my personal opinion, trying to like get a great deal on an interest rate for a loan. But you could also possibly find a home you want and then refinance if the interest rates go down in the future. So that's kind of a personal decision you have to make. But that would be my last advice to y'all girls. I really enjoyed this. I think we should do this again. Maybe we can do a girl chat once a month, but maybe I'll cater the girl chats to different topics, because the only thing I will say is this girl chat was like all over the place. It was like career, love, money, hustling, you know, home buying. So y'all let me know in the comments if y'all like it all over the place like this, or if I should do dedicated Q&As where we talk about only work, only girls chat, things like that. But I had a really fun time. I'm a little lit now, y'all, because I've been drinking my drink, and I'm really excited for just more opportunities to connect with you guys, for you to see more transparent sides of me, and to get to know you guys better as you guys get to know me better on this journey that we are creating here on YouTube together. So with that being said, this has been another video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next video.